Welcome to the fourth episode in a Legendarium series titled A History of Poland, The Deluge, Part 4. 10 years ago, Bogdan Khmelnitsky began the Deluge by leading the Eastern Orthodox Cossacks in a rebellion against rule by Catholic Poles. And now, on July 27, 1657, Bogdan Khmelnitsky died of a stroke after a decade of war. His family laid him to rest in the Ilyinska church located in his beloved home village of Subatov, where the war started. The council wished to elect his only surviving son, Yuri, as their new leader. However, how could Yuri, a beardless youth of only 16 years, possibly lead the Cossacks in a time of war? So on October 21st, 1657, at the Council of Korsun, they instead elected Ivan Vygovsky, a former clerk of Bogdan Khmelnitsky, as the new regent for Yuri. However, Vygovsky soon found that he enjoyed power and would do anything to keep it. On September 23, 1658, not a month after Russia ended her war with Sweden, Vygovsky made peace with Poland. He returned the whole of Old Hetmanshina to Poland and broke the alliance with Russia. In exchange, Poland recognized him as the sole ruler of Old Hetmanshina, with the power to protect the Russian Orthodox faithful returned to Catholic rule. In short, Ivan Vygovsky sold out the independence of the Dnieper Cossacks in exchange for being able to keep his power as long as he could. The sudden about-face stunned and enraged Cossacks who fought for 10 years to be free from Catholic Polish rule. Promises that the hated taxes on Orthodox services would not return won some over to Ivan Vygovsky. However, just as many rejected any Catholic rule and declared themselves for Moscow. In this way, the Cossack heartland near the Black Sea split between a pro-Russian East and a pro-Polish West. In one of the first moves of the new war, soldiers loyal to Ivan Vygovsky brought Russian-held Kiev under siege. During spring 1659, a Russian army led by Alexei Trubetskoy brought the pro-Vygovsky city of Konotop under siege in turn. Konotop lay deep in the interior of Old Hetmanshina and would give the Russians free access to lands east of the Dnieper River. However, just as the city appeared ready to surrender to the Russians, a huge army appeared, headed by both Ivan Vygovsky and Muhammad Giray, Khan of the Crimean Khanate. Russian cavalry under the boyar SEMEN KOZHARSKY charged forward to capture the Khan. However, the Crimean Tatars surrounded and engulfed the Russian cavalry. Despite being surrounded, KOZHARSKY fought fiercely until overcome by many wounds. The Crimean Tatars brought him before their Khan, who recognized him on sight. For 20 years, KOZHARSKY kept the Russian border with the Crimean Khanate safe, thwarting their efforts to grow rich on capturing Russian slaves. A Crimean interpreter hissed to KOZHARSKY, "You will bow before your Khan." When KOZHARSKY refused, the Khan ordered him beheaded with a gesture of his hand. With the cavalry destroyed, the Russians abandoned their effort to take Konotop. However, fortune still favored Russia. SEMEN KOZHARSKY would be declared a saint for his courage by the Russian Orthodox Church. Across Old Hetmanshina, Orthodox peasants and Cossacks rejected the idea of returning to Polish rule and rose against the traitor Vygovsky. Ivan Vygovsky then fled to Poland, where he received command of an army fighting the Russians. Only a few years later, his Polish masters accused him of treason and executed him. Meanwhile, to the north, Alexei I of Russia gave Vasily Sheremetyev an army to finish off the wounded Poles. He expected to be joined by Yuri Khmelnitsky, who had now taken command of the Cossacks. Instead, Sheremetyev learned that young Khmelnitsky also betrayed the Tsar. Sheremetyev, now suddenly outnumbered, suffered defeat and retreated to the town of Chudnov. The Poles besieged the city, and when Sheremetyev ran out of gunpowder, his men fought with swords and spears. A courageous move, but one doomed to fail against Polish guns. After Chudnov fell during November 1660, the Poles and Tatars slaughtered 2,000 Russian prisoners and took Sheremetyev prisoner. He remained in Polish captivity for 21 years, and he died only 6 months after they allowed him to return home. Next, the Poles wished to take Kiev, capital of the ancient Rus princedom. There they faced tougher resistance led by Yuri. Even worse, Cossacks loyal to the Tsar rose against Yuri Khmelnitsky, led by the young hetman's own uncle Yakov Somko. On July 26, 1662, after a year of fighting his own uncle, young Khmelnitsky finally surrendered his hetman's mace. During this second civil war among the Cossacks, King John II Casimir of Poland won several victories which ended any hopes of further Russian expansion. While the Cossacks battled among themselves, the Catholic population in Vilnius rose against the Russian governor Daniel MYSHETSKY. When the rioters killed off his garrison, he retreated into his palace and fended off assault after assault by the rebels. After 5 attacks, he found himself with only 78 loyal men remaining. Jan II Casimir of Poland then arrived in person with an army to force the governor's surrender. MYSHETSKY then tried to blow himself up in his palace with a massive store of gunpowder in a final defiant and heroic act. However, one of his men proved unwilling to die for his governor and stamped out the fuse. The Poles then easily took the palace, and Jan II of Poland put MYSHETSKY on trial for treason, the outcome already decided. Once he handed down the guilty verdict, MYSHETSKY lost his head. So will Poland be able to make a comeback after the endless tragedies she endured? We'll find out in the next episode. That wraps things up for this episode of the Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.